What's going on, guys? Um, Coming on here to you post UNC and UNC Charlotte. And I'm a couple of days late. Uh, the defense was, I saw a step in the right direction. Um, I was very pleased to see those interceptions right in the fourth quarter and on that last drive. Um, to me, that gives when they get an interception, I know it's against UNC Charlotte and stuff, but it kind of builds their momentum and it kind of builds their spirit up a little bit that they can do good things on defense. Where that was against TCU, I don't know. I mean, it looked very good from the start, and then after they drove the ball down and scored a touchdown, got up 7-0 on TCU. Then they come back and go 3-and-out. I'm like, we got a really good team, I believe. And then it was all downhill from there. And then the same thing happened in the Charlotte game. They come out and scored on the very first possession, and they didn't do nothing else the rest of the game. But their defense held on to win the game. They did get another touchdown and two more field goals, but the offensive play calling is just it's it's bad, and they're going to have to get better. If Bill Belichick wants to have any success at Carolina, and I noticed this in the Charlotte game the other night, he needs to kind of veer away from the NFL style play because, you know, that kind of play is going to get you beat in college football. It just doesn't, it's not a good recipe for college football. I mean, you can't just, I mean, college football is a more fast paced game, but also you, in college football, you've got to be lined up on defense or lined up on offense just about as soon. You may have a huddle a couple times a game, but you really need to have speed and basically know how to operate the 2 minute drill in most possessions. You know, college football is not like the NFL. It's different. It's way different. And for Coach Belichick, he's going to have to adjust to that. And I think it starts with Max Johnson. I think I'm out on. I'm just. I just don't have a lot of hope in Gio Lopez. I really don't. And I think Max Johnson is the guy. I mean, come on, he's played at LSU, Texas A&M. He started a few games. Got some playing time with those teams. And that's SEC. We're talking SEC experience that he's got. But the sooner the better that we transition to him, I think they'll be a better team. Now, can they beat Clemson? Well, it's possible, and I'll tell you the reason why that is. Clemson is just like Carolina. They can't get to the first down stick. Clemson struggles just as bad as Carolina. If you haven't seen that, then you're not seeing the same Clemson team that I've seen. I watched them against LSU. They couldn't move the ball. I watched them against Troy. They couldn't move the ball, especially in the first half. They couldn't even sniff the first down. They were down 16-3 at home at halftime. Granted, now they scored 23 extra points in the second half, But 27-16 over Troy, is that really something to brag about when you're a 33.5-point favor? No, it is a win. I understand that. But Clemson has severe offensive issues, just like North Carolina. And I believe that if Carolina's offense can get pressure on Cade Klubnik, in fact, I know because when you get pressure on Cade Klubnik, he gets uncomfortable and he can't throw the ball 10 yards downfield when you get pressure on him. But when you allow him to sit back there in the pocket and throw all day long, then he can pick you apart. But Troy, LSU, they were able to get pressure on him. And if Troy's able to get pressure on him, why can't Carolina at home? So to me, that's a 50-50 game. There's a lot of other games on Carolina's schedule that that worries me more than Clemson, because Clemson is pretty weak offensively. And sorry, Clemson fans, but it's true. You don't have an offense, and I don't. You might make it to the ACC title game, but if you do, you'll get destroyed by Miami. And anybody that thought that Virginia Tech was going to stand up to Vandy, I saw it coming. I don't know why Virginia Tech was favored in that game. It just, I knew it was going to be a blowout. Vandy's just too good. They got a great quarterback, and they don't get the respect. They would have to go undefeated and win the SEC just to get in the playoffs. It's because they're Vandy. And I think they're a pretty good team in the SEC, actually. But back to Carolina. Like I said, I think it's time to give Max Johnson a shot. I've seen enough of Gio Lopez to understand and realize that, he might not be our guy this year, despite all the money that he got paid in the NIL. So that remains to be seen. I don't know what Bill will do this week. He'll probably stick with Gio Lopez, being it's Richmond, but I'm kind of nervous on that game. Being I asked Google what the spread is on that game, and it's not showing up in Vegas sports books, but the spread's only actually 8. And I think with Carolina being at home, I think it should be a little bit more than that. Even though they don't score on offense. Maybe they see something that I don't, but Richmond lost to Lehigh. So, and I don't see how you can get any worse than that. Do I think Richmond's going to win the game? No, I don't. I don't see it happening. Could be wrong, but I don't see it happening. But Carolina's got a lot of work to do if they want to get better this season. They've got a shit ton of work that's got to be done. And I'm glad that Bill Belichick banned Patriots from accessing their athletic department. Kudos to that. Maybe that takes a little bit of stress off the football team. having to watch Patriot scalpers at the game and stuff, kind of distracting the game. I don't think, until late in the season that NFL people should be allowed into the college football stadiums, to talk to coaches and stuff. Maybe to sit there and watch games, it's different, but to get too close to the head coaches and stuff, I don't like that. But anyways, guys, Carolina won 20-3 over UNC Charlotte. There's room for improvement, and I think they will. All right, guys, peace out.